which end of your body did Bad Milo spew forth?
It is a very personal movie. It's very autobiographical. I just popped into my head. I don't know where it came from. You know, these things, they come from the ether. They come from God.
I just came from God, so you know.
Yes, yes. The origination, the source of the idea, it's hard to say. My co-writer and I, Benjamin Hayes, we were just talking one day, and we were talking about like this guy we knew who got funding to make a horror film, and we didn't think his film was very good, or his idea was very good, and we were like, we can do that. I mean, horror is just like a formula, where you just have a creature that kills off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and then we were talking about horror films that we really loved, and Cronenberg came up, and Rosemary's Baby, and Gremlins, and all of that, and then I, sort of popped in my head, we should do a creature feature, but the creature should come out of the guy's ass. I've never seen that before. And then I sort of thought about it. I didn't really say it seriously, but then thought about it, kept on laughing about it. Didn't think people would take me seriously, so I was like, I don't know. But we just decided to write it,
Well, it is obscenely hilarious.
Oh, thanks.
From beginning to end.
Congratulations.
It is funny. I was surprised that I liked this. I was like, wow. And then I said, wow, they got money to do this. And I said, wow again.
That's
I want to know how much
I
you
just
got.
couldn't wrap my head around him going.
Oh, no.
back.
You got to answer
Coming
this.
out was okay, but
How
going
difficult
back,
was it to get funding for this? That's what I want
Well,
to know.
we wrote it about 4 years ago, right? And it was 3 years later that we actually got funding for it. We wrote it and we showed it to some people, and we had some, people were laughing at it and having fun with the idea and thought the idea was funny. And we took it around to a couple of different places. But then soon after that, I gave it to Jay and Mark Duplass, and they came on as executive producers. They said, we want to help you make this. But, we were right in the middle of Cyrus, and then right after that was Jeff Who Lives at Home, and I was editing on those movies. And then came Black Rock. So I was busy working for those guys, and they were busy working on their own films. So it was on the back burner the whole time. So we hadn't actively tried. We were sending out to a few people. We weren't really trying in earnest. And then after Black Rock, we took it to ICM for them to package it and find financing. And they immediately got on board, sent it out to like 15 different companies that finance under $1 million low-budget features. And we had like 2 or 3 people interested right away. So it was hard in that it took 3 years to get to the point where we started really looking. I had to be really patient, but I learned a lot working on those other movies. And but once I started pitching it, they had the same reaction as you just described. People, I think, chuckle in spite of themselves because it's gross and it's weird, but it has a heart, and it's about a guy struggling to face his demons, faces his fears, and I think somehow I'm trying to walk this line between pushing people away and pulling them back in, pushing away, pulling back in. So that's just my sense of humor.
Well, one of the really interesting things that you have elected to do here, where so many directors would have gone CGI to create Milo, you went for full-on puppeteering.
Mm-hmm.
What were your considerations in deciding to make Milo a three-dimensional, living, breathing, for lack of a better description?
To me, it was no-brainer because I loved those old movies, Gremlins, Ghoulies, Critters, and all that. And, I'm a little disappointed in the overabundance of CG in the world right now and in films. I mean, it's just, it can be really fun and it can be really great, but it just gets overwhelming. And I felt like we had a chance to, since it's one puppet, and we had a chance to do an actual rock puppet. And I wanted that from the very beginning. And I just felt like I just feel like people know when they're seeing something that's real, and it's a real object in three-dimensional space, or whether it's a computer-generated object. And I think we know subconsciously whether that's the case. And I just felt like it would have a visceral thing. And I hadn't seen that in a while. So I haven't seen that kind of a thing done in quite a while. And I just thought it would be like what's old is new again, and I thought it would be a nice throwback, and I thought it would be fun because people love Muppets. People just love Muppets. So this is a Muppet, you know, basically. And anyway, and I wanted him to be cute, and I wanted him to be, you know, sort of adorable, and I thought that was the best way to do it.
So where's our merchandising?
You know, if you know of a merchandising company that wants to come forward, we have the merchandising rights, and you know,
I
if they
want a
got-
Milo.
I want a Milo too.
Uh,
You know, maybe if we get a sequel, tell everybody you want to see a sequel. I'll do a crazy sequel for you, and then Milo will come. I think merchandising will happen.
well,
Yeah, go ahead. So
the-
you were talking.
yeah,
about
the design of the doll, since he had to go in and out, that square head is what was getting me. I said, man, that had to hurt. Now, if he had a pointed, a cone head or something,
Yeah.
it'd be a little easier. But square going,
Yeah.
square
I
going.
love
in a
that. That's
round
where you
thing.
draw the line of what's believable about this movie and what's not believable.
No, I just empathize with his pain.
Yeah.
You know, put
So do I,
a
yeah.
square head in a round hole.
Well, you know, there was a time when I was like, I need a shot of Milo deflating because that's what I'm trying to imply that he does is he's filled with air and he kind of deflates and then slithers back up. But I didn't have the budget for it, so I just had to sort of like, I was worried actually. I was a little worried that people were going to be like, I don't believe it because I don't believe that could go back inside of him. But I think people don't really care at that point. I mean, it may be a question, but I think it's funny that it's so ridiculous that this is the case.
But
I
he's
thought
made of
Patrick
the
was a great
intestinal.
choice for you.
I'm sorry?
I thought Patrick was a great choice for you.
Oh, thanks.
Talk
Yeah,
about
Patrick
how you got
Warburton.
him in.
He's great. Yeah, I mean, the cast came together at the very last minute, and I was just amazed that we got so lucky. Patrick is hilarious. You know, Patrick is like, I mean, every one of these guys, they come to the set like ready to play. You know, ready to try some new stuff. You know, they're all full. They're full of ideas. I'm very open to ideas. My ideas are not the best ideas. You know, like I want to hear what your ideas are. I'll decide if we put them in, but like let's you know. And Patrick came to the table with some improv that was amazing, and of course Ken and Gillian did the same thing. Kumail came with like, you know, a stack of 10 pages of jokes that he could do in that dinner scene, and it was amazing what he did. But I had to shorten that dinner scene, so a lot of it is out of the movie, but it's hilarious.
Going
You
back
had a
to
question.
going back to the balance of this film. I mean, first off, I love horror films, so I can kind of see the ghoulies and critters kind of influence on this. But you could have gone a lot worse with this. Let's put it this way: in
Sure.
the horror scene, you know,
Yeah.
you keep a nice balance between
Right.
the comedy and the horror. I'm curious, where did you really decide to draw the line? And was there anything that you thought would be absolutely hilarious that you're like, no, we can't go that far?
Well, you mean on the horror side or the camp side or the
In general, just
sort
the
of scat
gross
side?
or the
Well, for a long time, you know, there's the scene in the outhouse where Milo falls into the hole and then comes out and he's covered and he shakes like a dog, like a wet dog. And, you know, for a long time, I mean, I wrote that right away, but for a long time I thought, that's crossing the line. People are just not, I should take that out of the script because when people read that, that's going to turn them off. And so I took it out of the script for a while, and then I was like, no, that's what this movie is. Let's put it back in. So I put it back in the script. And, you know, I sort of like went back and forth on that. And then, you know, as far as the horror elements, you know, my compass, my goal was, you know, follow Ken's character, like emotionally. What's the emotional arc of his character? And then let everything else be guided by that. So I'm sort of doing this balancing act between, you know, campy and horror and, you know, sweet and tender, which is a weird mix. And I think a lot of people like who are going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of horror fans were like, this isn't horror enough, you know? But it really is, it's a balance between comedy and horror, and it's a balance between tender and heartfelt and ridiculous.